They're just going live from the current location, despite how my physical appearance is not accurate. Just some pics to document really quickly. And I'm not impersonating a stranger. So we just want to ensure that there's absolutely no confusion. Okay, to situate this, to reposition the physical device appropriately if this intervention implemented is helpful for creating a focal point that would maybe be more accurate to the dimensions of the physiological structure that I have set up some items to be able to appropriately be physically positioned and present for this documentation. Despite still not being optimal. What's really important to communicate is that nothing about my life is a game, and I'm not playing a game. I'm not a participant in a game. I didn't voluntarily travel here, and I'm not talking about a psychological state of consciousness associated with certain chemical agents that would promote an altered state of consciousness as far as comprehension and how my brain processes real-time images, if that's important to mention, that could affect memory, language, and so I don't know, as far as the series of events today, there was a meal program today, and unfortunately there have been instances where they've provided food and the food has not been clean. There's been a chemical agent, and we have made our best effort to get rid of the food by way of a public City of Philadelphia public trash can, and hope that that the Navy is in step with us and has taken those tampered with items to a lab to confirm the chemical agent used in the attempts to lethally poison me. So hopefully, we are not confident that any of the meal programs have stopped attempting that, and that's mainly because of whoever provides the food, meaning who prepares the food, or the supplier of the food to the grocery store or wherever, the restaurant, or whoever's somewhere from the food being grown or genetically grown, like naturally or synthetically grown, if those are the best vocabulary words in English to use right now. So we're not playing games. There's nothing to negotiate. This is people that these events involve true consequences that are inevitable. And we have presented in our archives, not recently, but historically in the past, we don't understand who would be willing to risk so much. And what we've been able to observe, we don't understand why there's no fear of consequence. There's no remorse, there's no shame. These people are blatant, emboldened, cruel people. They voluntarily, hypothetically, they're volunteering to participate in some sort of campaigning or lobbying, and we don't know how exactly, we don't know what information is being presented to that's commencing these partnerships, collaboration. So Right now, there seems to have been the attempt to make it impossible for me to eat any food items, to ingest any sustenance products, whether a beverage or salad. And we've mentioned before, like, we're not going to participate in taste testing. So, as far as the caution and take heed of, I have no official scientific metric or equipment to measure where I'm at as far as lab values after a possible toxicity exposure. That's very real, and that caution and awareness is very much so um, and is necessary for many reasons. I am not in a safe place right now. Nobody is able to help me. That's just the reality. As far as the ability to document and correspond, and now people are finally just realizing, hypothetically, let's say hypothetically in a case scenario, how am I processing hypothetically if and when people start to realize the reality of what I've been communicating nonstop over and over and over again, and still remaining committed to being a participant in the step-by-step process of self-responsibility, accountability, documentation of symptoms, even though no appropriate vocabulary, because I can't speak clinically because I'm not in a clinical situation, even though everything that's happening to me creates clinical criteria, even though there's nothing wrong with me. How am I coping and managing I never should have been in a situation, I never should have been forced into a situation to have to endure these hypothetical situations and events where people are taking bets and polling on when they're going to break me, I guess, essentially. And there's no reason to endure this. This isn't to give people space or make sure that people get enough information so that they're prepared to protect themselves. Obviously, we hope to be able to evaluate and assess what's viable, but that doesn't mean hurting me. We would never want that. That's not, this isn't a game. So, so the issue with the chemical agents, if important to give a specific example, well, I mean, I don't know that we want to waste our time discussing this. Beyond that, as far as, checking the food, excuse me, as far as the daily tasks of, I don't have access to any of our money and what food is available. Even when I had access to some money, to paper or coin money to go to a local grocery store, even the items at the grocery store were tampered with. So people would stalk me and watch. I'm very predictable. I have to be. I choose to be. And people would stalk me to find what I was routinely purchasing, and they poisoned me. And that's what they do every time. So we were not able to file a criminal complaint without lab values, and with people trying to force the wrong identity and discredit me psychologically when there's no validity to those baseless claims. We were not able to, as far as allowing for the most objective information possible, and to maintain the timely momentum towards working towards our short-term, long-term goals, which was to kind of stay visible, predictable, and allow for the opportunity for support. With discretion and discernment, we couldn't exactly file a criminal complaint or police report when we had reason to suppose, hypothetically, that there was commitment from within the police department every district to hurt us. So we made every effort we could to stay consistent, predictable, and visible to strangers that maybe had a regular routine. We tried to understand how are so many people at the cafes. They're fine, nothing's happening to them. They're return customers, they purchase their products, they have no concerns of being poisoned. They go to the grocery store. How is this so isolated to me? How are, so I've documented this before, the kind of stalking that's going on. Is the example of stalking is not just gang stalking, right? So the micromanagement of people illegally surveilling me with the intent to hurt me. And there's absolutely no rationale for this other than they're not psychologically good people. So there were some food items that were not good today, and those had to be thrown away to hopefully be in catchment to go right to a lab to confirm the chemical agent. So if we've been able to hypothetically accomplish that, then why hasn't this stopped is the next question. So as far as our timeline and what we've accomplished, we're hoping to be nearing a permanent solution to stop these problems. And this cannot be the next 12 months. So this cannot continually be every single day where we have no access to money. Even if we had access to money, there's nowhere safe to purchase food. We're not gambling. We're not taste testing. So we go to the food pantries, we see if there's food there. So they were taking all the food out. Now there's been some food, which means that more likely than not, the food is not good. So as far as people trying to force me into starvation, because I don't starve myself, I don't restrict food. This is not worth our time. So we're looking for permanent solutions, and we need permanent solutions. So I don't know if it was Frankie's sister. I'm not certain what people might be trying to accomplish.